Okay, so this one we want to find the inverse, right? Find inverse. What are the steps of finding an inverse? Okay, replace f of x with y, right? If it's not already a y, replace f of x with y. Okay, next step. Flip the x and the y, right? Switch them. So let's make this x equals 2y minus 5 squared. And then, not for x, already solve for x. What do you solve for? You need to solve for y, right? And the y now is inside the parentheses. We're going to have to do some work here, right? We need to divide both sides by 2. Okay, now I've isolated this y minus 5 squared. How do I turn that into a y minus 5? Take the square root of both sides, right? So square root, square root. So now we've got y minus 5 equals plus or minus the square root of x over 2. Okay, I still haven't solved for y. What do I need to do? Add 5. So y equals 5 plus or minus the square root of x over 2. Last step. Well, you turn it back into f minus 1 of x, since it's an inverse. 5 plus or minus the square root of x minus of x over 2. So remember, though, about functions and their inverses. It ought to be that if I plug in a number for here, right, for x, let's say I plug in x equals 5. What does y equal if I put in x equals 5 here? 5 minus 5 is 0. So 0 squared is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So if x is 5, y is 0. Then it should be the case that if I plug in here 0, that f minus 1 of x is 5. It should go exactly the opposite way. And in a multiple choice question, that might be the best option that you've got. Right? Just make sure whatever you can plug in here, if x equals 5 leads to y equals 0, then x equals 0 should lead to y equals 5. Okay. And since it's a multiple choice question tomorrow, that probably will work. I think a lot of times you might see like 2 answers on the test, and one of them will have a plus or minus, and one of them won't. So just remember, if you're taking the inverse of a quadratic, it's going to have a plus and a minus.